Hello, today I'm going to talk about chest a little bit. What I want to talk about specifically is isolation work, but I want to state before I get into the isolation work that before any type of isolation work is performed, I still think a heavier compound exercise should be always within the first couple exercises of your routine before you go into any type of isolation work. Depends on the person. That's just my thoughts. So the very first thing I want to break down is when we perform a bench press with a barbell, your body is resisting the bench. When you have the barbell coming down and you're resisting it, your lats, your triceps, and your upper body is completely stabilizing that barbell. The difference is that is a compound movement involving multiple muscle bodies, multiple muscle systems. When it comes to an athletic movement, they're going to be a little bit more explosive based, let's say a push-up, and they're going to have, once again, involve multiple muscle bodies. But once we get to isolation work or accessory work, we need to start thinking of it a lot differently. So using the chest as an example again, as I just went over how barbell bench press works and push-ups. But then when it comes to isolation work for the chest itself is a small muscle body. So using my bicep as an example, my bicep muscle is roughly about size of my fist. So if I take the size of my fist and go to my chest is, including the upper portion, probably twice the size of my bicep. That is not, although that is small in my opinion. This is a small muscle body. If I take my hand and place my palm, this is basically the size of the muscle, and it's not a very thick, huge muscle generally. It is a small muscle body. This muscle body also has fibers that run in a very specific way and only want to perform work in a specific way. So when we perform isolation work with the chest, we have a small range of motion because of the smaller muscle body. Using a great example is when people use cables, they're greatly using their core to activate a little bit of chest. When you use a resistance band, you're actively applying the opposite tension in the opposite direction. And when you perform your flies, it's a very small movement. Let's say you want to go a neutral grip, or you can go a pronated grip. It's a very small movement. It doesn't require a huge amount of body English or hyper or overextension. It doesn't involve any of that. Using another example, when it comes to the overextension, is going to be upper chest dumbbell flies. So if I go ahead and grab these, when people perform this, they generally like to try to squeeze it forward. And I mean like squeeze it forward. In the end, this is an upper chest workout, and if you're squeezing your arm against that muscle, it's not getting a proper contraction, it's not getting proper blood flow. If we're more in line with the anterior deltoid, you see we actually get activation of that upper portion. Much more. Now once again, if I hammer it like this, yeah, I'm squeezing the muscle up with my arm. Ooh. But it's not actually better for activation. Okay? So once again, going like this, you see we get a very good upper pec activation, that pec shelf activation. Like this. When we start squeezing it like this, it's just an overextension. That overextension is causing some issues. I'm a little bit of a chunkier individual, so I squeeze up against things, and I feel like I lose proper activation, especially on that eccentric when the muscle is being squeezed by my arm so it can't properly elongate. So we want to go ahead and think of the chest as a small muscle body. When we perform compounds or athletic movements, yes, they involve multiple muscle systems, and you can go ahead and perform them explosively or heavier. But for isolation work, we need to consider smaller ranges of motion and we need to look at the muscle in a completely different way. There are muscles that people generally already know this of, so using the biceps as an example, you know that you can get decently sized natural biceps through just rowing, but to optimize growth, you need to actually isolate and curl that individual muscle, right? Like you need to isolate and think of it more, that muscle differently. So let's just think that there's people out there who've never thought of curling for biceps. They always tell themselves, my rows build my back and biceps. That's what people do with their chest. They haven't, when it comes to the isolation work, they haven't really switched up the mentality of, I need a different mentality when it comes to the muscle. This is obviously for general bodybuilding. Once again, when it comes to people who powerlift or who are doing athletic routines for professional reasons or whatever, this kind of goes out the window. When somebody's bench pressing twice their body weight, I'm not really going to sit here and tell them how to do their isolation work. But for smaller, lighter lifters, this is a good way of thinking. Other than that, go ahead and critique this video. I just think that a lot of people overextend on a lot of chest movements, especially on the chest fly machine. The number one thing I find people do, and I don't know why this is, but they bring their shoulders forward and they squeeze it forward like this. I've seen that a lot, and I don't understand that. I think it's just the way the machine is. A lot of people think that because the machine offers that extra range of motion back and forward, they have to use it, and that's just not the case. So other than that, that's just my opinion on chest workouts and stuff. If you like the video, thanks, and I hope you have a good day. Thank you. Bye.